on NFL land? In today's little stream, I want to talk about my big board. The top 10 guys on my big board going into draft season. We're only a couple weeks away until the draft. I'm going to surprise some people with my picks. So don't get all crazy on me, but I'm ranking these guys in their ability to completely change a franchise. Not necessarily the order they're going to get picked in, but the order of importance, in my opinion, from the tape that I watch, and the ability for these guys to impact a franchise. First, we're going to start out with number 10. And to me, that's Laiatu Latu from UCLA, the edge defender. He can line up inline DN style, or he can be a pure outside linebacker. He can get to the quarterback no matter where you put him on the field. And to me, he has some injury concerns. That neck stuff is concerning. If you're going to pick him in the first round, you better go through the medicals. You better talk to him and make sure that retiring again is not in the cards for at least the next 5 years. Laiatu Latu is my number 10 on the big board. I love Laiatu Latu. His tape, in my opinion, he's the best edge defender in this draft. It's not even close. He is so exceptionally talented. I'm hoping that he falls to the birds at 22. Because in my opinion, that 3-4 scheme that the Eagles are implementing now, that Vic Fangio's there, he would be perfect. He's going to change a franchise, mark my words. Number 9 on my list in my big board for 2024 is Drake Maye. A lot of people who follow the NFL draft have him a lot higher. But he regressed considerably from 2022 to 2023, and that concerns me. He's a young guy. He's got a strong arm. He can move around the pocket. He could complete throws out of structure. I like Drake Maye. He's very young. I think he's only 21. But to regress that significantly in a year concerns me. And he misses a lot of wide open throws. Sometimes his feet aren't under him. He releases that ball. He's got a crazy arm, but he can't really control it. He's like a relief pitcher who can't throw strikes, man. And if you're not on time and accurate in the NFL, you're going to struggle, especially if he goes to a team like the Patriots who has no weapons. Oh, my God, that would be a nightmare. If I'm the Patriots, I'm trading out of 3. I'm going to acquire more draft capital. But, man, if Drake Maye goes to the Patriots, it's going to be a disaster for him. He has no weapons at all, no running game. That offense is a complete turd bomber. And I hope to God, for Drake Maye's sake, that the Patriots do not pick him and ruin him. Because by the time, so he's 21 now, he'll be around 25, 26 when that rookie contract is up. And a lot of college quarterbacks, I think Bo Nix is going to be like 24 by the time the season starts next year. I like him at number 9. I'm not overdrafting Drake Maye. If Drake Maye falls down people's draft boards and a guy like J.J. McCarthy moves up, I would not be shocked at all whatsoever. All right, number 8, to me, is the best cornerback in this entire draft. That's Quinyon Mitchell. He's got good size. He's got good speed. And you saw him at the Senior Bowl ball out against guys that are going to go in the top 50 picks. Quinyon Mitchell, to me, is the only true number 1 outside corner. Cooper DeJean is more of that hybrid safety slot corner guy. He could play anywhere. But I love Quinyon Mitchell, man. He's tough. He's nasty, man. He lays the wood. He's strong. He's a very, very talented player. And if he doesn't go in the top 10, I'll be surprised. If he falls in that 12 to 18 range, people are going to get great value. Quinyon Mitchell, he went to Toledo. People are going to be like, he didn't go to a big school, blah, 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 blah. Watch the tape. The dude is a beast. He's strong. He makes good plays. He breaks on the ball well. He's got good hips. He's got enough speed. I love Quinyon Mitchell at number 8. If the wide receivers weren't so good in this class, I would have him higher. But he's far and away, to me, the best corner in the draft. There's guys like Nate Wiggins, but he weighs like 170 pounds, man. How the hell are you going to be tackling DK Metcalf at 175 pounds? I think one person was saying he weighs like in the high 160s, Nate Wiggins. Wiggins has got crazy speed, 4.3 speed. He's super good. But to me, Quinyon Mitchell is without a doubt. Did you buy that cream yet? What the hell does that mean? Anyway, we're going to go on to number 7. My 7 ranked guy on my big board is Rome Odunze from Washington. He's got big, long arms. He's got crazy body control. He is in most drafts, he'd be the number 1 wide receiver. This wide receiver class is historic. There might be 5, maybe not 6, but maybe 4 or 5 guys that go in the first round in this draft. And then in the second round, there's guys like Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette. I have no idea what you're talking about, bro. But Rome Odunze, I love him, man. He's got some of the best body control. And a lot of NFL offenses, those back shoulder throws are super important. And if you watch him with Michael Penix Jr. at Washington, they did that back shoulder throw all the time, on time. He's able to use those long arms and that big frame to kind of box guys out and land that back shoulder throw. The back shoulder throw is so important in the NFL, and Rome Odunze might do it better than anyone else in this draft class. I love Rome Odunze. He's a very talented player. He's got great body control. The only thing that concerns me a little bit about Rome is his ability to get separation at the NFL level. His breaks out of routes are not the best that I've seen in this draft class. He's probably ranked like 8 or 9 in that regard. Getting separation in the NFL is key, right? And in college, he kind of struggled to get separation sometimes. He's just an athletic freak, so he can go up and get balls that these corners in college couldn't go get. But if he had trouble in his first year at the NFL level, I would not be surprised. If he goes to the Bears at number 9, that would be great for Rome Odunze because he doesn't have to go and start right away. DJ Moore's there, Keenan Allen. He can kind of come in and learn that offense and learn how to play at the NFL level. Learn from one of the best route runners and third down receivers in NFL history in Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen being a mentor to a guy like Odunze would be huge for his development. Rome is my number 7 guy on my big board. Today we're doing my big board top 10 guys. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I do tons of NFL content. We're going to do some MMA content this week. Number 6 on my big board is Jayden Daniels, quarterback from LSU. The only reason he's not a little bit higher, he's got all the skills to be a number 1 quarterback in the NFL. He's a little skinny in that 210-pound range. I would like to see him put on a little bit of size. He has a little bit of accuracy issues, but he's only had 1 year of insane production, right? And I think Washington, to me, is the best fit for Jayden Daniels. If he can go to Washington and work with Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury, Kingsbury was the former head coach of the Cardinals. He's going to be the offensive coordinator now for the Commanders. Really talented guy. He's really, really smart. He worked with Kyler Murray, obviously, in Arizona, and he also worked with Patrick Mahomes in college. I think he fits better than a guy like Drake May or Michael Penix Jr. to go to Washington. Washington could trade out too, but I really think they're going to go with Jayden Daniels. His production this year was like insane. He had like 40 touchdowns to like 4 or 5 interceptions. Jayden Daniels was the absolute truth at LSU. But he did have some of the best wide receivers in college football. Probably 2 guys that were going to be first-round picks in Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. had 17 touchdowns. Nabers is one of the best yak guys in college history, and he's a dirty, mean player. He's nasty. I love Nabers. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. Jaden Daniels, number 6. He looked good at his pro day. He put on a little bit of size. I think he was like 215 or something like that. So Jaden Daniels is really good. He's got the arm strength to make the throws. We'll see if he can be a little more accurate. Daniels and Drake May both have a little bit of accuracy issues. So they can clean that up. Daniels is a little bit older, a little mature of a quarterback. That's why I have him higher than Drake May. And Drake May regressed considerably. And Jaden Daniels has been getting better every year, year after year. All right, number 5 on my big board is Marvin Harrison Jr. A lot of people are going to be like, what? PFF has him number 2. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. I actually love his game. He's pretty much a number 1 wide receiver in any NFL draft class going back the last 20 years. He's that talented. I mean, when your dad's Marvin Harrison, one of the best receivers in NFL history, you're going to have that skill set. He's like a bigger, stronger version than his dad. I think his dad had a little bit better hands than Marvin Harrison Jr. If you watch the tape, Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't the cleanest catcher of the football. Sometimes he uses his body to catch the ball, and sometimes there's a little rattle. He doesn't go out and snag that ball. It kind of bangs off his hands a little bit, and he kind of re-grips it to make the catch. In the NFL, there are incompletions, and that concerns me a little bit moving forward. I still think he's going to be a very successful NFL wide receiver, probably a 1,000-yard guy at the NFL level. But I just like Malik Nabers a little bit better. So now we're going to move on to number 4. This is the best offensive lineman in this draft by a long shot, Joe Alt. Joe Alt has the ability to change a franchise. PFF has him number 5 on their board. But man, Joe Alt, he's like 6'8", 340 pounds. He's got quick feet. He's got good get-off. His slide step is really good. I mean, he's got good hand uses, big, long arms. The dude's a monster, man. 6'8", 340 pounds, or whatever the hell he is. He's humongous. He's a man amongst men. He's one of the best left tackle prospects I've seen come out of college in a really, really long time. He is a prototypical left tackle. He does everything well. He's very consistent. And I think he's going to be a perennial all-pro in a couple years. He's going to be that guy who's going to be a top 10 left tackle in the NFL for years to come. At some point, he might even be a top 5 left tackle in the NFL. That's how much confidence I have in Joe Alt. That's why he's my number 4 prospect on my big board. I love Joe Alt. Notre Dame is really good at producing NFL-ready tackles and offensive linemen. I love Joe Alt. He's probably going to go to the Titans, the way the board's going to shake out, unless there's some crazy trades, which there might be. I'm hearing all kinds of rumors that the Giants don't want anything to do with Daniel Jones, so maybe they move up and trade him to the Commanders or trade him to the Patriots. We'll have to see what happens, but I love Joe Alt. He's my number 4 guy. My 3rd ranked guy on my big board is Malik Nabers, the wide receiver from LSU. He's the best receiver in this draft, in my opinion. He is my wide receiver number 1. Number 3 on my big board, wide receiver number 1. He's great yards after the catch. He's got some of the strongest hands. He's an excellent route runner. He can run all the routes on the route tree. He can run short routes, intermediate routes, long routes. He can run bananas. He can run fades. He can run posts. He can run digs. He can run crossers across the middle. I love Malik Nabers. And I think he's got the best hands, some of the best hands. Excuse me. Ladd McConkey has really good hands too. I really like Ladd. Malik Nabers is my number 3 on my big board. Number 1 wide receiver is Malik Nabers from LSU. He got throwing balls from Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's just so good. He's so strong, man. He's great in the red zone, too. He is a true number 1 wide receiver. I'm assuming it all depends. The Cardinals need a number 1 wide receiver. Are they going to go Marvin Harrison Jr.? Do they go Rome Odunze? Or do they go Malik Nabers? I'm not sure where Arizona goes. I'm not sure who they value the most, but either one of these top 3 guys, you can't go wrong. They're studs. I like Nabers the best. I think he's the most consistent catcher of the football. I think he's the best with the football in his hands. And he's just as good as a route runner as Marvin Harrison Jr. All right, everybody, let's go to my number 2 guy on my big board for the NFL draft for 2024. He's probably number 1 on 99% of the big boards because he's a quarterback. That's Caleb Williams. 90 grades from PFF the last 3 years. Caleb Williams is really good, but he's not that good against the blitz. He had a lot of trouble. His pressure grade was like in the 30s on PFF. Not super good against the blitz. And you know teams are going to blitz the god dang heck out of Caleb Williams out of the chute. He's probably going to go to the Bears. The Bears with DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, probably Rome Odunze. I think he's going to go there at number 9. He's going to have the weapons. Their offensive line is pretty solid. They have 2 good tight ends, Everett and Nath or whatever his name is. Caleb Williams is really good. He throws a great deep ball. He's really good out of structure. A lot of people think that he's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't know if I see that. Maybe he develops into that guy. I think Caleb Williams in this draft class of quarterbacks is probably the most polished out of the bunch. He can make all the throws. He's got a rocket for an arm, and he's very creative out of structure. He kind of leans on that and kind of jumps out of the pocket more than I would like him to. That's going to hurt him a little bit in the NFL because in the NFL you want to throw on time and not get out of structure as much as he did in college. But I like Caleb Williams. I think he's going to go number 1 to the Bears. All right, let's move on to my number 1 guy on the big board. This guy, I think, has the ability to completely change a franchise. When I watched the tape, there hasn't been a player that jumped out on tape like this for me. You think, man, that would be crazy if Caleb was just like, hey, I'm not going to the Bears. You think that's what he's going to do? The Bears team looks a lot better than it did a couple of years ago when Justin Fields got drafted, right? Caleb Williams has some weapons, man. They have a solid group at tight end. DeAndre Swift is a good back. He's a top 10, top 12 back in the NFL probably, right? You got Moore and Keenan Allen on the outside, and if you get Rome Odunze at number 9, that's a lot of talent, man. That's a more talent than a lot of NFL offenses have. So if Caleb Williams says, no, I'm not playing in Chicago. I know he's from USC, he's from Southern California. And playing in Chicago, man, those winters in Chicago is crazy. I do think the Bears could go O-line at number 9, but I just don't. I think the Bears aren't passing up on a quarterback. They're going to pick one of the quarterbacks. I think it's going to be Caleb Williams. But there's a lot of depth at offensive line late in the first round and in the second and third round. I think getting a guy like Rome Odunze, who could be like a generational wide receiver, is more important than O-line at that point in the draft. I think there's more value in that. And a lot of the best players at offensive line, I don't know if they're going to be tackles at the NFL level. Joe Alt and Fashanu, they're probably going to be tackles, but the other guys, I'm not sure if they're going to be tackles. They could potentially slide in the guard. So Rome would be a number 1 wide receiver in most drafts, I think. But with Neighbors and Harrison, he slid to number 3. But to pick up Rome, the Bears don't have a ton of picks in this draft, but if you can get a quarterback like Caleb and a wide receiver like Rome, you got to do it. Figure out. I like the Chiefs too, man. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm going Ladd McConkey or like Ricky Pearsall. There's a lot of really good wide receivers. Xavier Legette. There's going to be a bunch of really good wide receivers at the end of this draft. All right. Back to my number 1 guy on the big board. That's Brock Bowers, the tight end from Georgia. I know people are like, a tight end number 1 on your big board? What drugs are you smoking, man? But I'm telling you guys, go watch the tape from Brock Bowers. He was an immediate impact player the second he stepped on the field at Georgia. This guy has the best hands of a tight end I've ever seen come out of an NFL draft. And a lot of these really good tight ends, like Travis Kelce, George Kittle, they've been underdrafted and undervalued in the draft process. Brock Bowers is a can't-miss prospect. He dealt with a little bit of injuries this year, but he'll be good to go by the time camp starts. He's got amazing hands. He can block. You can line him up in the slot. You can line him up inline. You can line him up outside. He's the most versatile offensive weapon in this draft by a long shot. And that's over guys like Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. If he goes to a team like the Packers, man, Aaron Rodgers is going to ball out with my dude, Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, when I was blown away by the tape. I legitimately couldn't believe what I was seeing. Running through guys, making unbelievable catches where he got absolutely smoked by safeties. Unbelievable, man. This dude, Brock Bowers, is legitimately one of my favorite prospects that I ever scouted in watching the NFL over the last 10, 15 years. I started my career writing for Bleacher Report, doing a lot of baseball, football, MMA, and boxing. And I've been watching drafts for years, and this guy, Brock Bowers, just jumps out on tape more than anybody I've ever seen. And whoever drafts him and wherever he falls, it doesn't matter because he's going to be an impact player the second he steps on the field in the NFL. The day he gets drafted, he'll be a top 10 tight end in the NFL, mark my words. And if there's any injuries, obviously, but if he stays healthy, go Birds! If Brock Bowers can stay healthy, man, I think Brock Bowers has the potential to get between 700 and 1,000 yards his rookie year, depending on what team he goes to. That's how impactful Brock Bowers is going to be. He has the ability to change a franchise like George Kittle and Travis Kelce. That's how unbelievably good Brock Bowers is. I would love to show you the tape, but he's in the SEC. So they don't let YouTubers show the tape of those guys in that conference. Georgia's a big-time program, and he's a big-time player. And he is so they say he's a little undersized. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. That's what he's listed at, PFF. But if he can gain 10 pounds, he's a good blocker. He's a willing blocker. He'll block on the line of scrimmage. He'll block on the next level. And his ability to catch the football in the red zone, in traffic. Yeah, that goes without saying, man. I think Kellen Moore runs that. He's a lot of 11 personnel, which means 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end. Brian Johnson was way over his head with the Eagles. And from a lot of things that I've read about Brian Johnson is that he was getting intimidated by Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. With all those big personalities in that Eagles room, you need a general. And Brian Johnson is not a general. He's a solid, wide receiver coach, quarterback coach, wherever you want to put him. But you need a man and a general who's not going to put up with anyone's BS. And Kellen Moore is a lot better, a lot more creative of a play caller. I think this offense will be considerably better than it was last year with Brian Johnson. The Eagles also have a new defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio. So the Eagles need to address linebacker in the draft. If I'm in that room, Fangio runs that 3-4 defense. You need linebackers. You need good linebackers, like excellent linebackers. And right now, the Eagles linebacker room is one of the worst in the NFL. So, guys, that's going to wrap up my big board. I'm going to go through it one more time. Real quick, if you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. You can check out all my NFL content. Number 10 on my big board is Laiatu Latu. I would love for him to end up a Philadelphia Eagle. We'll see what happens. Maybe Howie Roseman trades up. Number 9 is Drake May. A lot of people have him higher. PFF has him number 3. I just think he regressed too much for me to have him at number 3. This kid needs to be getting better each and every year. He regressed a lot. And he misses a lot of throws. A lot of easy throws, gimme throws in the NFL. He airmails. You got to have those throws. Number 8, Quinyon Mitchell. PFF has him at number 10. I think Quinyon Mitchell is the only number 1 true outside corner that has the size, the grittiness, to compete with some of these unbelievable number 1 wide receivers. He's big, he's strong, he's tough, he lays the wood. I like Quinyon Mitchell. Next, number 7, Rome Odunze. Number 6 on PFF board. Number 7 on my board. Rome's got long arms, good body control, super talented player. Whoever gets him, I think he's going to end up with the Bears. I like him there. Number 6, Jaden Daniels, the quarterback from LSU, has some of the issues that Drake May does. Accuracy issues, missing easy throws, getting messed up with his footwork. He also had 2 first-round pick wide receivers. I love Jaden Daniels, but Brian Thomas Jr., sorry, I was just reading some of your guys' comments. Yeah, man, it is. So we're pushing 5,000 subs, and not being like some guy like Julian Edelman who's like super famous. You know what I mean? You gotta just put the work in. If you put the work in, Willow, you'll get there. But you got to put out a lot of content. I'm like sneaking down during my lunch breaks and doing all kinds of mock drafts and stuff. Just keep putting your opinions out there. Study the tape, and you'll get to where you're going, man. So yeah, number 7 is Rome Odunze from Washington. I like his arm length. I like his body control. He'll be a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, I think. Will he be a top 10 wide receiver? That'll remains to be seen. Then Jaden Daniels at number 6. Number 5, Marvin Harrison Jr. A lot of people have him higher. PFF has him number 2 on their big board. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. He is a true number 1 wide receiver. Solid hands, smart player. He's not as good after the catch as some wide receivers in this draft. I like him. If I'm picking number 4, I like Neighbors better. Number 4, Joe Alt, the left tackle from Notre Dame. Notre Dame is so good at pumping out these offensive line products for the NFL. Well, Aaron Rodgers will be with the Jets again. The Jets kind of shored up that offensive line. They brought in Tyron Smith from the Cowboys to play left tackle. They have an older offensive line, but it is better. I'm not sure. The Jets could go, I think they drafted number 10. The Jets could go absolutely anywhere. I'll chime in on the Aaron Rodgers stuff. I got only 3 more picks on my big board. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers will be playing. He'll be ready for camp. He's completely recovered from that Achilles injury. There were rumors of him coming back last year if the Jets made a playoff push. And the AFC East, with Diggs moving on to the Texans, it's a very winnable division. And the Dolphins traded away like their whole defense. That division is wide open, except for the Patriots. The Patriots are hot garbage on a sunny day. But the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bills, it's going to be a 3-legged race to win that division. I think the Patriots will be lucky to win 5 or 6 games again. Their offense is horrible. They legitimately have no playmakers at all whatsoever. They are horrendous. But the Dolphins, the Bills had a lot of injuries on defense last year. They lost some guys in free agency as well. And the Jets, we'll see how good Aaron Rodgers can look in this coming season. All right, my top 3 on my big board. We go Malik Neighbors at number 3, Caleb Williams number 2, Brock Bowers number 1. Yeah, the Patriots are terrible, man. I love Malik Neighbors. He's my wide receiver number 1. He's the cleanest catcher of the football in this draft. He runs great routes. He's great after the catch. Caleb Williams, the number 1 quarterback on my board, number 2. And then Brock Bowers, I think he is the best player in this draft. I really do. I love Brock Bowers. Go watch his tape. He's amazing. All right, guys, we've done about a half an hour live stream. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try to do these live streams a little more often to talk about the players in the draft, any questions you guys might have about your team going into the 2024 season, what players your team is potentially drafting. I'll have all the answers for you guys next time I do a live stream. Thanks for tuning in, Willow, and everyone else who tuned in. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. We'll catch you on the next video. Peace!